Thank God we can laugh now. Jesus. But even during that time, I kind of sensed that God still had more for me. I kind of sensed that. And but I wrestled. Oh, I wrestled. And I wrestled a lot with guilt. I wrestled with showing my face again. For the people that had been impacted by my words, by my ministry, by my faithfulness and all the things that they so loved about me, the commitment to my wife, my family, all the things that they had bought into. I felt like I had failed them, which is why I put out 2 letters because I was feeling it. And so I really wrestled with when to come back. That was probably the biggest thing I wrestled with more than anything. But I had a lot of people around me, my bishop, and another pastor, another bishop actually, that he and his wife were counseling my wife and I during that time. And I needed a lot of affirmation to come back. I needed a lot of affirmations because, who knows what was on the other side of it. I was hoping for the best, but I just didn't know what to expect. So the hardest thing was carrying the guilt, not knowing how people were going to respond to me. And but the confidence, the reason why I pushed forward is because at some point I did gain enough strength because I had this sense that God wanted to now use this side of the story. That now I felt like people had witnessed death and burial, and I believe that what God wanted people to, he didn't want the story to end that way though. I think he wanted the story to end with resurrection, ascension, and glory. And so I started to really sense that, from everything that I was reading, everything that God was downloading in prayer, in my spirit, stuff that my bishop and everybody was saying. John Gray, I remember John Gray called me. He left me about a 15-minute voicemail. Man of God, you will go back. Man of God. John Gray and many others have really emboldened me and empowered me. So even though I came back shaking, I was like, hi y'all. Even though I came back like that, I had enough confidence in God and in the call of God on my life, and what I really felt like God wanted people to see, which was this moment where I'm about to take my family back to Disney World. So this moment of being resurrected, moving in power, and whatever else God has for me. So,
does the guilt ever come back? Do you ever look back and
yes, the guilt does. Yeah. So especially because I run in a lot of the same circles, as the people that I had betrayed, and so there's a part of me that's like, praise God, look at us all, like we all good. Your family's good, my family's got, look what God has done. We still on the same stages. We still, we still plowing forward. The music is still successful. The ministry is whatever. So on one hand, I'm delighted. On the other hand, I'm carrying the guilt of regret. Because I was really close friends with the person I betrayed. So there's that feeling of like, wow, I can't imagine what our relationship would have been had I not, betrayed them or whatever. So yeah, there's times where I have pockets of guilt. But it's much different than when you're just having pockets of joy. Now I'm just having pockets of guilt, so for the most part now I don't carry that. But it serves as kind of like a thorn for me, it's like I can never forget it, it will always be there. And it will always mark a very significant point of my life, both of tragedy and triumph because of what God has brought me from. So.
Awesome. You down with questions on
If he's trying to ask.
Okay.
Amen.
Excellent, bro. What if it says something? I can't pronounce your name. What is it?
Wati.
Awati?
Yeah, it's Wati Basso. So just the short form, it's Wati.
Whitey.
Yeah.
That's
right.
good enough? All right.
Okay. So, as Christian artists, I wanted to know that where do we draw the line between our art and politics? Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. So, when you're talking about in your music or in your art,
Well, in any art, whether music or poetry, but
you know what I'm saying? In your art,
yes, in my
Okay.
art as a Christian.
yeah, like how much to discuss it
Yeah.
in your art. Okay, good. So here's my thing. I really do feel like Christians, I believe that the reason why so much of what we're supposed to be doing gets hijacked is because we're silent. Okay? So in the States, we have something called the Black Lives Matter movement, right? Now, the challenge with the Black Lives Matter movement are what I call the bookends. It's not the fight for justice. It's not that, because that's where we would agree, right? It's not the fight for equality and equity, equal rights, etc., right? It's not the fight for placing the right value on human life and dignity and things of that nature. That's where we would agree. Where we have our fundamental challenges are on where their starting point, right? Because they don't start where we start. We start with the reason why the world is this way is because, and we start at the garden, right? So that's the Christian worldview. When you have a Christian worldview, you're starting in a fundamentally different place than those who do not. Okay? So we start at the reason why is because, so we go back to the garden. Then we disagree on the ultimate solution to this problem, right? Which we would say ultimately is Christ. And then we would say, and then we won't see the full expression of the solution until the new heaven and the new earth. All right. So those are the bookends. All right. So I'm saying this to say that what the Black Lives Matter movement did was they hijacked the Christian message, because this idea of races need to be reconciled, human life should be valued, this is all what we call Imago Dei stuff. In other words, we are made in the image of God, therefore, that's where they don't start. See, they don't start at, we're made in the image of God, therefore, we should place dignity and value. Inherently, we are valuable. Inherently, we have dignity. Inherently, they won't start there. So I'm saying that, but because the church has been like this on all issues pertaining to civil rights and social justice and things of that nature, what ends up happening is there's a vacuum there. People are vulnerable because they're hungry for somebody to say something. And then the Black Lives Matter movement, who is founded by 3 lesbians, it's founded by 3 lesbians. They're now able to swoop in and speak to the issues, but from a perspective that's not God's. Right? So they end up very limited in how far they can go. All right, now with that said, it's important that we not be silent. That's my point. When it comes to these issues. When we speak to them though, however, what we must keep key Christian principles in mind. The number one principle that we have to keep in mind is that we are called and required to honor those who are in authority over us. Right? Even when that's tough, it's kind of like honor your mother and father. Even when they, on drugs, or even when they, my father's abusive or emotionally abusive to my mother or whatever, right? That's not to say you can't challenge them. You follow me? That's not to say that you shouldn't have a problem with it, right? That's not what it's saying. But there is a sense in which you still honor. So Daniel, well, we'll get to that later. So my point is that we have a responsibility to, first of all, honor those who are in authority over us, right? Our political leaders. The Bible tells us to pray for them, right? To submit to their authority, et cetera, to obviously to the extent in which their leadership is inconsistent with the leadership of Christ. Well, then that's when you throw that, whatever they're saying, overboard. But until then, you honor them. When we speak of them, however, or when we speak about the issues, I think that it's always healthy for us, number one, to watch our tone, and then number two, to always be speaking from a Christian perspective, right? But again, both are equally as important. Tone is important because if let's say we're speaking to issues of abortion, right? Like in the States, there's a lot of people, a lot of our leaders are liberal. So if we're speaking to issues of abortion, it's my job to not attack the people that are talking about it. So if I'm addressing it, I'm just simply saying, here's what I believe. I don't have to say God said, I'm just saying, but here's what I believe, and we know in our hearts, based on what the scriptures has taught us about these issues, right? That God is pro-life. So what we can't do is get in our art and be like, yeah, you know, I hate Hillary Clinton because she's, you feel me? Like, you feel me? I'm not saying, you follow me? I'm saying we cannot do that. You follow me? Right. I can't say, and in as much as I have a problem with Donald Trump, I cannot make that my thing.